Peace and greetings. Welcome back. Today we are getting into part 3 of our 3-part inner child healing series. Welcome. Thank you so much for being here. If you continue to watch, I assume you were resonating with the first 2 videos, and I'm so grateful that you're here. I'm so proud of you for delving into your inner child with me. So let's get into it. Today, we're going to be discussing our needs and how understanding our needs can empower us to communicate and also understand our emotions and where they're coming from. So some of you may be aware of this, some of you may not, but we all have, as humans, we have what are called universal needs. When these needs are not being met, we will experience negative emotions. But when our needs are being met, then we can thrive and we can feel that sense of inner peace. Okay, so there are actually so many needs, and I'm not going to go through the entire list with y'all, but I will leave here the name of a website that you can check out to read a full list of needs. And also you can just search online universal human needs if you want to do further research after watching this video. Understanding our needs can help us to understand our emotions. All right, so when our needs are being met, we experience positive emotion, and when our needs are not being met, we feel negative emotion. So oftentimes when we're sad or we're angry, there's actually something underneath that feeling. And when we can understand what's underneath that feeling, we don't have to place so much blame outside of ourselves. We can just understand what's really going on. Okay? So, for example, there's a need to play. That's one of our universal needs. So if you find yourself feeling really bored or feeling unhappy or not feeling content, it could be because you haven't played in a while, and that's something that you actually need. You haven't been playful. You haven't activated that part of yourself. And as soon as you understand this, rather than trying to find blame for why am I so bored, why am I so unhappy, when you can understand, oh, what is a need that I have that's not currently being met, and maybe that need in this case is play, and say, I haven't been letting myself play. I haven't been having fun. I'm bored because I haven't been letting myself have fun. So by understanding that, you empower yourself to go and meet that need. Also, it's important to note that some of our needs we are able to meet. Some need to be met by other people. Oftentimes when we're in an intimate relationship, a lot of our needs are met by our intimate partner, but it's unfair to assume that they can meet all of our needs, right? So that's why it's also important to have community, right? So there are needs that you meet for yourself, and there are also needs that maybe your parents meet, maybe your intimate partner meets, maybe your friends can meet. So by having, support all around, that can help you. Also, we have our needs met as well from the larger community or society, as far as like access to resources like food, water, shelter. You need your needs to be met, but they can't be met from one source. And there are times when a certain need cannot be met, and we have to have a level of acceptance and understanding. Like, okay, I understand that. Let me look at the list and give a clear example. Okay, touch. Physical touch is actually a need. So maybe I'm in a situation where I'm alone. I don't have any pets. I'm living alone. I don't have anyone around me to give me a hug. And I notice that that's something that I need. Maybe I can't meet that need in that moment. I, of course, can touch myself. I can hug myself. But if I need a hug from someone, and I can't get that in that moment, it doesn't mean it's the end of the world. Just by understanding what it is, I can say, okay, I need to prioritize physical touch. I need to go spend time with a loved one. If you're in a situation where you're living alone, maybe you can consider getting an animal companion, because then that need for touch is always being met, You always have someone to hug, to love, and someone that touches you as well. It could be an animal, not just a person, right? So in the moment, though, if you can't have it met outside of yourself, it's going to be okay. Just understand, oh, it's just that my need for touch hasn't been met, and I need touch. And I can't meet that need right now, but I will. And trust that. Okay, so in regards to the inner child, oftentimes in childhood, we don't have this language. We don't necessarily have this level of understanding when we are children. We can be aware that our needs aren't being met, but we may not have the vocabulary to say, oh, this is what I'm lacking right now, or this is what I am needing right now. So now in adulthood, as we heal our inner child, we can reflect on our childhood and say, okay, what were some of our needs that weren't being met when we were children? Because now those things are going to be especially triggering for us. Okay, I'm going to look again here at my list. For example, one of our needs is choice. One of our needs is belonging. One of our needs is trust. Okay, so for example, with choice, if in our childhood we had really controlling caregivers, caretakers, could be our parents, could be other family members, and we didn't feel a sense of being able to choose for ourselves, that sense of autonomy, which autonomy is also a need. If we didn't feel like we had the opportunity to choose, that can be a big trigger for us later in life. Now we really want to have that met. And in situations where it feels like we're not allowed to choose, we can get extremely uncomfortable, and it can even trigger a reaction and definitely a lot of negative emotions. So when we're understanding our needs, we can also look at, okay, well, was this need met for me in childhood or not? And if it wasn't, now I see why it created so much more of these negative feelings within me, because I realized that my inner child is still upset that that need wasn't being met for them. Next example, belonging. A sense of belonging, a sense of like, I'm a part of this. Okay, when I think of this, my mother comes to mind. My mother was adopted, and she was adopted by white parents, and she's a black woman. And they did adopt other black children. So she has like 2 other siblings who are black, but still being raised in that family where the majority of the people are white and they're culturally different and they look different, that can create this disconnect from this sense of belonging. And I also have, like, my childhood best friend was also adopted, and I grew up with her. I knew her from preschool, and we still know each other now. And I did notice this sense of her not feeling like she belonged to her family. Not to say anything against adoption, like, it's beautiful that people choose to take in children who don't have their parents anymore, but it's just that child really needs to feel a sense of connection. Connection's also on the list of needs. They need to feel a sense of connection. Get out of here. I'm sorry, y'all. Yes, so I'm back. So yes, children need to feel a sense of belonging and connection, okay? So the sense of belonging is cultivated. It's also like a root chakra thing, if you know about the chakra system. But it's like a sense of connection and belonging, like I am meant to be here. And feeling like we belong comes from having connection with the people around us, like a deep connection, like I am a part of you. I have a purpose here. Okay, so that helps us to feel into our personhood. And if we lack that, we're going to feel feelings of, why am I here? Why am I here? What purpose do I serve? It could even lead to, I don't want to be here. And when you don't have this understanding of your needs, you might not even know. You might not even know what it is that's missing. You just know you don't feel right. You don't feel connected. You don't feel a part of this. All right, one more example there was trust. All right, so trust is not just about you being able to trust others, but also others being able to trust you. Okay, this comes up a lot in intimate relationships, especially romantic relationships. When you feel like your partner doesn't trust you, negative emotions arise. And also if you feel like you can't trust your partner. And if in childhood you weren't able to trust the people who were taking care of you, that creates a very deep wound, and it can be very difficult to restore trust. We talked about this with the forgiveness video. It can be difficult to restore trust and then to be able to trust others and also to be trustworthy yourself. But it's something that you need. There's always these feelings when you can't trust. You don't feel safe. You don't feel secure when you cannot trust the people in your life. My suggestion is to take a look at this list and to notice any that pop out for you as far as things that are not being met. You can first reflect on things that weren't being met when you were a child. And then, for example, if you can say, okay, I did not get choice when I was a child. Do you have it now? Do you have it now? And how is it being met now? And if there is something that comes up and you're like, wow, I still don't have this now, how can you meet that need? How can you prioritize meeting that need? All right. And all of this, it helps us to see the underlying thing that's underneath the emotion. I'm angry. Well, why am I angry? There's nothing wrong with me being angry. It is my right to experience this emotion. But now let me understand where it's coming from. It's not just about this person who just triggered me. There's always something underlying to that situation. All right. So I'm going to go down the list that I have. I'm actually looking at my computer over here and talk about a few more of these needs and how they might have been met or not met when we were children. And let's get into it. All right. So food, water, shelter. Those are the basic needs. And for some children, those needs are not being met. And if you don't have consistent access to food, to water, if you don't have a safe, comfortable shelter to exist in, that can create a lot of unease in the child. And that will carry on into adulthood. You'll always be afraid of losing these things, right? So I mean, there are children literally living in homelessness. So just imagine, like, there's a lot of needs that are not being met there. We also have health. Okay, so people who struggle with health problems in childhood, again, it's creating a difficult reality for you to exist in because we need to be healthy. So how can we meet this need now? What makes you healthy? Think about your food. Think about the water that you're drinking. Think about your movement and exercise. Some people have to be on medication, so find a medication that works for you, whether it be a holistic medication or not, just something that improves and supports your health. To live a healthy lifestyle it's literally a necessity. That's why it's so difficult being in the Western world for me. There's so many addictive things, like all the processed foods that I grew up eating. And I have such a hard time breaking away from them. Now it's a lot easier because I've literally pulled myself as far away as possible. But still, so much of my childhood was me eating a lot of unhealthy stuff. And I didn't know how that was emotionally affecting me. I remember being a child and having tantrums sometimes and having different, emotions and experiences that I did not enjoy. And I never once thought that it had anything to do with the candy I was eating, with the little cake snacks that I was eating. But a lot of it did. Health is important. Eating healthy foods. It's everything. Not just from our family. Look at all these bugs. Literally, I've been so annoyed by this, but I'm just going to push through. Because this is the last video, and this is the truth. I live outside. I live in the jungle, and there are bugs, so whatever. But yes, even thinking about the food that's provided in schools. I used to eat the school lunch for a while, and it was disgusting. I really actually hated it. And what was the quality of that food? And then think about your mood. Think about how that's affecting your mood. You're thinking these kids have an attitude problem or they can't focus. They're eating trash. We were eating trash. Even now. Sometimes you might still eat these things. Sometimes when I go back to the States, I still be like, I'm about to eat this bag of hot Cheetos because I'm still addicted. But it's not healthy. And I have to notice, okay, after I eat this, how do I feel? Emotionally and physically, not just physically. We sometimes think like food only has to do with the physical body, but it's also affecting the mind and the spirit. Play is another need, which I mentioned. Dignity is a need. How people speak to us and how people treat us. This one really triggers some things around schooling for me. As a Black child going to school in the States, and I went to a lot of different schools, so I've been to all white schools, and the way that some of those teachers treated me was completely unacceptable. They did not give me the dignity that I deserve. And a lot of us have experienced this in the Western world, all over the world. I'm sure you can experience this, is where people do not treat you with dignity. People do not treat you with respect. Respect is also a need. So when you're feeling like, I don't like that teacher, they always make me feel bad. They're such a bad person or whatever. It's actually, they don't treat me with dignity, and I need to be treated with dignity. They don't respect me, and I need respect. That's why I feel so uncomfortable in this relationship, in this interaction. Another thing I want to mention about needs is also when we see other people experiencing negative emotions, if we see other people who are sad or who are angry, who are upset, now this information can empower us to say, rather than like judging them for feeling that or taking it personal, if they're angry, if their anger is being directed at us, we can say, what is this coming from? What is underneath this person's anger? Where is this coming from? I think this person needs ... This is so helpful. This is so empowering. I've been practicing this with my mother because we have sometimes a difficult relationship and sometimes she's angry about stuff. And I've been studying the universal needs. So I'm like, okay, say my mom starts to feel like I'm not getting her because I'm like disagreeing with her point or whatever. I'm like, oh, it sounds like you really need some understanding right now. Like, oh, it sounds like you really just need to be understood. Or sometimes my mom will be complaining about what other people are doing. And rather than me trying to be like, oh, you just have to maintain a positive attitude, which she hates when I do that. She hates it. I can say, wow, it sounds like you need more respect from those people. It sounds like you need understanding. It sounds like you need for them to be more careful with how they treat you. And when I talk to her like this, when I try to identify what she needs, she's like, oh, yes, that's exactly what it is. That's exactly what it is. So try practicing this. When you're dealing with even your intimate partner experiencing negative emotions, it sounds like you need more understanding. It sounds like you need me to trust you. And I'm saying it sounds like because you want to give them room to also tell you because you could be wrong. Maybe they're like, no, I have that. What I need is ... This is empowering information, y'all. Let's move on. All right, y'all. I'm so sorry about the choppiness of this video. I have so many outer things affecting me right now. The sound of the birds, the bugs flying around in my ear and in my face and past the camera. Literally, I love nature so much. I love you so much, but sometimes you really are so annoying. And I think the reason I'm annoyed right now, the reason I'm feeling annoyed and a bit frustrated is because I need ease and flow right now. I want to just create this video with complete ease. Ease is one of our needs as well. And because it hasn't been easy, I keep having to stop because of different, things that are hindering me. I'm getting a little bit irritated, but I'm okay. I understand that I cannot control everything. And by understanding my needs, I understand why I'm being irritated. Let's continue. So, more on the list. Understanding. Okay, connection. I already mentioned connection. This is a need. We need to feel connection with other people and a connection to ourselves. So when you're feeling disconnected, you're often going to feel that lack of belonging. You're going to feel frustrated. You're going to feel sometimes numb or completely just a dullness because you don't feel connected. Care is one of our needs. So this is something that comes up a lot for childhood. What was the quality of the care that we received? Many of us had parents who could care for us, but some people did not. Some people could have grown up even in systems such as foster care, which literally says care in the name, but there's not always that quality of care that is actually needed to feel like a person, to feel completely okay and safe and secure in yourself. So this care is so important. And this is why I also mention again, community is everything. Family is everything. We need to be cared for. We need it. We cannot live this life alone. We cannot live this life alone. Now that we are adults and we understand our wounds from childhood, we need to prioritize meeting our needs so that we can live a better life, especially those needs, like I said, that were not met when we were children. So if no one was taking care of us when we were children, probably we learned how to take care of ourselves, but that doesn't mean we don't need other people still around to care for us. We need to get into community with people who love us and cherish us and who can care for us, people who value us, so that we can feel that sense of connection, that sense of belonging, that sense of trust, that sense of dignity, understanding, care. The next one on the list, reciprocity. Like the energy we put out is coming back to us. Like we're not in relationships where we're just give, and nothing is being reciprocated. Next is integrity, okay? We need to have integrity, having our ability to, how can I describe this? Because I'm like, what is integrity for me? For me, integrity comes more from myself than from others. Like saying what I mean, treating people how I want to be treated, honoring where I'm at, okay? For example, the other day, I was going to give an inner child healing session, a one-on-one, but I was feeling really emotional. And so I had to reschedule my session because from a place of integrity, I can't come into this space saying, I'm going to help you heal when I actually need to take care of myself right now. So that's just a form of integrity for me. So we need to witness integrity in others when we're children, and we need to embody it for ourselves. Also, when it comes to the work you're doing, if you're doing it with integrity, it means like you're doing it and it's true and it's honest. If you're saying you're going to help someone, you're really doing your best to actually do that. You're not trying to get one over on them. There's no ulterior motives because you're moving with integrity, with honor. That's what comes up for me with integrity, honor. Trust, we already talked about trust. Consistency is a need. Honey, I am working on this one. Consistency. We need consistency. When we're children, we need consistency. When we're adults, we need consistency. When I was a child, I did not always have consistency. My mom had us moving. I went to so many different schools, and I was always like kind of losing my sense of self because there was no consistent, routines to help me, create a strong foundation, a strong core. I was always having to change and be different and to adapt. And while I did develop skills for adaptation, I did not develop a sense of consistency. And it's something that to this day, I'm now 27 years old, I'm working on how can I be more consistent in my life? Consistently showing up, being consistent with my routines for self-care and for outer care, like caring for my home, caring for my farm now. Also, this is something we need with others, okay? I understand too the whole thing with astrology. For example, I'm Pisces, I'm mutable energy. We're a lot less consistent than, say, a Capricorn, who is an earth sign, or say a Leo, which is a fixed sign, right? But so I also need to have consistent people in my life because that's supportive for me. People who consistently show up, right? Like I take the bus to get to town. The bus is consistent. There's a schedule. Because there's a schedule, I know, okay, I need to leave my house at 8 to get there at 8:30 to take that 8:40 bus. But if I'm trying to make these plans and I go down there and it's like, oh, today it didn't pass at 8:40, it passed at 8:20. Tomorrow it passes at 9:30. If it wasn't consistent, I would be lost. I'll be like, I can't make any schedule. I can't figure out when to go for the bus. And I would feel very like a sense of like imbalance, right? So consistency is important. Next is sexual expression. Y'all, sexual expression is a need. This one probably really hits home for a lot of us in regards to childhood. And when I talk about childhood, I also am including teenhood. All right. So we need to be able to express the fact that we are sexual beings. This can often be repressed because, our families, our parents see us as children and they don't want us to express the fact that, oh, I like this boy or I like this girl or I want to look cute. I want to look sexy, you know? I want to go on dates. And sexual expression is not just about having sex. It's about understanding your own sexuality and being able to express it. It can come down to how you dress. Some people want to dress more in the traditional way of a woman. Some people want to dress more traditionally in the way of a man, despite their sex. These birds have been pissing me off because they are so loud. And our final need that I want to share about is rest. We need to be able to rest. We cannot be working nonstop. When we were children, oftentimes we were really busy with school. You know, we would have to go to school all day. We would have a lot of homework to do. And then we had to get up really early to get to school. And then imagine if you don't have a good home situation, you don't even get rest because maybe you have the parents are fighting, or maybe you don't have a consistent or safe shelter. There's all kinds of things that could be happening to make it so a child doesn't get the time to rest. When we become teenagers, we tend to want to sleep in more, and there's a lot of resistance sometimes from other adults, like telling us we need to get up and we're sleeping too much. We need to sleep. Our bodies are changing, our bodies are growing. Sometimes we need to sleep. As important as it is to be productive and to show up and to do in the world, it's just as important to rest, to not do. Rest doesn't always mean sleep. Sometimes rest is just, I'm just going to relax. I'm just going to lay back, read a good book, enjoy a delicious meal, have some time of silence, of quiet. Thank God the birds just stopped, or at least they sound a little further away. I need to rest. It's not that I want to rest. Maybe I want it as well, but I need it. In order for me to thrive, in order for me to be okay, I need to rest, and so do you. So I hope that this was helpful for you all. Again, I'm going to leave you here with the name of a website that you can check out to read more about your needs. And I wish you the absolute best on your journey with inner child healing. I hope that this was helpful. If you're interested in booking a one-on-one session with me, you can check out my website. I hope you find serenity.com. So thank you for sticking with me. And as always, I hope you find serenity.